In the headlines, counting of votes commences in some polling units in supplementary elections rerun. 3 suspected kidnappers killed, 1 abducted victim rescued in Nasarawa State. Nigeria's inflation rate rises to 22.04%, third consecutive time increase in 2023. On the foreign scene, fighting rocks Sudan capital Khartoum as regular army battles paramilitaries. World powers condemn escalation of violence. Hello and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ila. Thanks for joining. Now, hundreds of voters in Kano State turned out for the supplementary election for the 2 federal constituencies and the 13 state assembly seats that were earlier rescheduled. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that although voting has ended in most of the affected polling units, voters were still at the polling units and hopeful that INEC will ensure a free and fair process. The report.
Across all parts of the state where the supplementary election was conducted, hundreds of voters turned out to elect their representatives in a rerun election, which arose as a result of violence or overvoting in those areas.
Think of people who are here to decide their right. They are waiting for the INEC people to come so that they cast their vote and go their own way. You can see that all the people are happy. They are jubilating. They are just waiting for them. There is no element of any insecurity in here.
Although election could not start on time in Fagge Federal Constituency and several other places, but voters say the process was peaceful, even though there were some disturbances at the beginning.
Actually, it was a minor crisis. It's just the issue of agents. There are some parties that are not participating in the election, and some people came as their agents, and we rejected that. So that was the only thing that happened. But for now, everything is going on smoothly.
Security operatives were also deployed across the affected areas to ensure peaceful conduct of the exercise. Meanwhile, voters are asking the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure that their votes count at the end of the exercise.
The runoff election is going smoothly in this center. We can testify to that because you can see everywhere is calm. No violence, and people were cooperating with the officials. So we are very happy with the proceedings.
At the moment, voting has since ended across most affected areas and collation of results is currently ongoing. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Meanwhile, a yet-to-be-identified man has been shot dead by soldiers on patrol while attempting to snatch ballot box from INEC officials at the Bajida polling unit 001, Fakai local government area of Kebbi South. According to account of the people in the area, the deceased was a member of the proscribed Yansa Kai, a local volunteer vigilante group in Zuru area of the state. He was said to have intruded into the polling unit, claiming to be a security agent. He was alleged to have attempted collecting a gun from a soldier that was guarding the polling unit when he was shot. Daily Trust reporter in Kebbi State, Ismail Adebayo, gives us an update on the incident.
In the case of the man who tried to snatch a ballot box, it happened in Fakai local government area of Kebbi South. So he, according to reports from the polling unit, Bajida 001 polling unit in the area, he and some of his gang, rushed into the polling unit, claiming they are security agents. And while the soldiers, intervened, he tried to snatch, gun from one of the soldiers, and in the process, he was shot by another, soldier man. The man is yet to be identified, but witness in the area said it's a member of the proscribed Yankasai volunteer vigilante group in Kebbi South, that is Zuru side of the state. Apart from the case of the man who was shot, there have not been, any cases of violence around Kebbi local government and Kalgo local government area where I visited. That is Ambrusa area, Kardi, Kalgo, at Babandoma, that is Takalau area here in Old Town. There have not been cases, violence except cases of vote buying and sharing of wrapper and cash, to get them vote for their candidates.
In the meantime, party agents at the different polling units where rerun elections are being held in Birnin Kebbi local government area of Kebbi State were seen distributing wrappers to women to get their votes. Now, the party agents positioned themselves at obscure areas to distribute the clothing materials to the women in Kardi. Also at Hisba office polling unit, Marafa Ward, Ubandoma, Takalau in Old Town area of Birnin Kebbi, some male voters told journalists that they were given a bag of fertilizer and cash to vote for their particular parties. Supplementary election is taking place in 8 polling units of Birnin Kebbi local government areas. Of the number, 3 polling units are at Marafa Ward, 1 at Ambursa Ward, 1 at Kardi Ward, 1 at Makera Ward, and also at Gawasu Ward, and also 1 at Maurida Karyo Ward. Now, for some more perspectives on what's happening in Kebbi State, we have Festus Koye, the Commissioner for Information and Voter Education of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, who is joining us virtually from Birnin Kebbi for updates. Thank you so much for joining us on the news update, Mr. Festus.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, we are hearing these stories about voter inducement as reported by our reporter there. I'm wondering what the process is like. How can you guarantee that this is a credible process indeed?
Well, I think that we should start from a very positive perspective. And the positive perspective is that this commission deployed on time to the various polling units. In almost all the polling units, the voters came to the polling units and met our staff on ground. And we were able to set up on time. And in all the polling units I have visited personally, the BVAS has worked optimally. I've visited polling units in Birnin Kebbi, I was in Kalgo, and I was also in Bunza local government. And the BVAS has been working optimally. The security presence has been top-notch. Our staff have been performing well. So I think that generally speaking, the election has gone very, very well. In terms of the issue of voter inducement, some of us were very busy making sure that the process goes on well. So if there were things that were going by the side or by the corner, I didn't witness any, and I didn't notice any, and I really didn't pay attention to any. I paid attention to in the areas to make sure that, one, that the voters go to the polling units and vote in an atmosphere devoid of fear and intimidation, and also to make sure that the choices of the people are protected in terms of not getting anybody to expose how he or she voted, especially at the level of the polling units. And so the election has gone very well. I just came back from some of the polling units where results have been declared. I witnessed the sorting of votes, I witnessed the counting of votes, and also witnessed the entering of the votes into Form EC8A and the uploading of the polling unit level results into our INEC result viewing portal. So I think that the election in Kebbi State has gone well. There were a few challenges here and there, but those challenges are completely insignificant. The overall picture is that we have done well.
So would you say then that all the irregularities that were experienced in the previous election have been dealt with in this time?
Well, I don't want to talk about what happened in the previous election because we are yet to do a comprehensive audit of both the presidential and national assembly election as well as the governorship and state assembly election. It is when we do our own evaluation in terms of both internal and external evaluation, that we will know where we scored positives and where we had negatives, and how to ameliorate or deal with or overcome some of those challenges. But in terms of the supplementary election we conducted, for instance, we conducted one governorship supplementary election in Kebbi State, one senatorial supplementary election, two House of Representatives supplementary election, and 8 state assembly elections in Kebbi State. In Adamawa State, they also had a governorship supplementary election. In Sokoto State, we had supplementary election for the 3 senatorial districts and 11 federal constituencies. So I think that looking at the overall picture, we deployed on time in most of these polling units. Yes, it is true that in Kebbi State, for instance, we deployed 142 polling units, which is completely not up to the figure, that cannot match the figure of the number of places we deployed during the general election. But I think that overall, in terms of a deployment of election materials, we did very well. In terms of staff training, in terms of deploying, using some of our staff for purposes of serving as presiding officers, serving as supervisory presiding officers and collation officers, it has gone very well. And also in terms of managing the result collation at the level of the polling units, I think we have done well. And the various security agencies have also managed the election in such a way that it gave the people confidence that they can come out and vote. If you see the massive turnout of people in Kebbi in terms of this election, you will know that there is faith in the commission and the faith in the ability of the commission to do what is right.
All right, Festus Okoye, Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, INEC, thank you so much for joining us on the news update, for your insight. Thank you.
I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
All right. Now, voters in Adamawa State has appealed for a free, fair and credible outcome of the governorship supplementary election in the state. They made the appeal shortly after casting their votes in their various polling units. Although the supplementary election has been characterized by vote buying in some polling units, the process was largely peaceful in all the areas visited. The Adamawa supplementary election across 20 local government areas in 69 polling units with 42,785 total registered voters and 36,935 collected PVCs.
I have been to the Makama B polling unit, and I have come to this Tongo. That is called Ali Mustafa Health Clinic. And then I have come to this Tongo. This is the second one I visited, and so far I'm impressed by the turnout. And also it's clear that people have taken this election very seriously and they are participating. It is my expectation that the security officers here should serve as neutral umpires.
Yeah, the election, as so far what I've been seeing, the election is going on free and fair. As expected, there's no hitches, there's no problem for now.
The INEC official turned out at the earliest. They started this voting according to the rules of the game, and to be realistic, the Beavers machine was functioning perfect. No issue of inability to capture any person that come here to vote.
The rerun elections for the State Assembly in Kankia, Kurufi and Gangara local government areas of Katsina State witnessed massive voter turnout amidst heavy security presence. All stakeholders acknowledged that the process commenced early with the election gadgets, especially the Beavers machine, functioning effectively. Abdullahi Amadi was at some polling units in Kankia, Kurufi and Gangara during the supplementary elections and now reports.
At Kukar Kwaida, Tafasha and Kawayandawa polling stations in Kankia local government, election was ongoing as at 10 to 12 noon when Trust TV visited. Many voters and observers commended the conduct of INEC ad hoc staff, security operatives and the orderly manner party officials conducted themselves at the polling stations.
So, the run election is going on well now, and as you can see, it's going on freely. Everybody is here. People turn out massively. They are voting.
Honestly, the voter turnout is much, even more than the first election that we had. They came out early. Since after Subhi prayers, most of them are here.
There is no any problems which last election passed. This election, we don't have any problem.
However, the State Assembly candidate of the main opposition party, PDP, in Kankia local government area, Ibrahim Tafasha, seems unhappy with the heavy presence of government officials at all the polling units, a situation he described as intimidating.
People were sent from the government, from the top, from the center. When I say even federal services are here, and from the state government, all people are here just for this election. And if you are to go to run just 6 polling units, the person we are contesting together, we help from all local government. All our people are there. Why should you call all people from various local government just to come and to intimidate our people?
While responding to the allegation, the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Ya'u Gojogojo, says the claims are baseless.
No, I didn't see them. Maybe you go around, you see them, so you'll see that. But to me, I go around polling, I didn't see anybody who is on, who is, as you are saying, top official. Who are the top officials? One of the top officials. I'm an official assignment.
As at 2 p.m., election was almost over at Barkia polling station in Kurifi local government, with few eligible voters on the queue waiting to cast their votes. Observers adjudged the polls as peaceful, free and transparent than the last month, which was characterized by overvoting and violence. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And on security matters, Nasarawa State Police Command has killed 3 notorious kidnappers who have been terrorizing the residents of Sabongidan in Lafia East Development area of the state. In a statement signed on Saturday by the Police Public Relations Officer Ramhan Nansel, he said that the command also rescued a victim. The victim, Ezekiel Luka, was kidnapped on Asakio Sabongida Road in Lafia East Development area. According to the statement, Commissioner of Police Maiyaki Baba appreciated the officers for a job well done and charged them to sustain the tempo and rid the state of criminals. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. PWDs want domestication of Disability Act. Details of this and more after the break.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now, this service will finally be recognized.
Come May 17th this year, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather at a hotel and suites for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and excellence in the broadcast media. Voting starts on 20th April and ends on 4th May 2023. Visit www.tnbawards.ng to vote now. They've served and they're still serving. It's time we say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn.
Welcome back. This is the news update on Trust TV. Now let's take a look at the top stories again. Counting of votes commences in some polling units in supplementary election rerun. 3 suspected kidnappers killed, 1 abducted, victim rescued in Nasarawa State. Now, Nasarawa State government has warned miners against illegal operations in different excavation sites in the state. State Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Yakubu Kwanta, gave the warning during his visit to some mining locations in the state. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
The visit by the management of Nasarawa State Ministry for Environment and Natural Resources was in line with the Executive Order 2, signed by Governor Abdullahi Sule in 2022, directing the ministry to ensure that all miners coming to the state are registered to effectively monitor what they do. This, according to the Commissioner for the Ministry, Yakubu Kwanta, was to strengthen security, peace, and harmony with the host communities, as well as to ensure that all revenue due to the states are paid. He warned the miners to desist from going beyond their mining license as approved by the federal government and ensure that all environmental impacts agreements are strictly followed.
Today, we have found a lot of defaulters, and as you can see, we're going to hand them over to the appropriate authorities, the Ministry of Justice, so that they can prosecute them accordingly. We're not driving investors, but we'll make sure that investors are operating within the confines of the law.
Kwanta also called on all mining investors in the states who are not registered to go to the ministry for proper documentation, explaining that the enforcement tour will sustain across the states until the system is sanitized. Mining sites visited during the tour include Mitri Fertilizer Limited in Jide and 5 Star Mines Limited and Gwang Abaka in Wamba local government area, as well as Nabaska, Nigeria Limited and Gwandoka in Kokona local government area of the state.
The Joint Association of Persons with Disabilities has called on the Gombe State government to domesticate the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018. The call follows concerns by the group that they struggle to access services at the Lawanti International Airport, Gombe, due to the inadequate provision to cater for them. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Fatima Sani Yakubu is coping with spinal cord injury. She says one of the major difficulties they experience at the Lawanti International Airport, Gombe, is inadequate provision of wheelchairs for them.
2 issues that we have in the airport: the distance between the arrival and the aircraft, and the distance between the parking space and the arrival. That's the only issue. Secondly, they don't have wheelchair. They will start, if they see, they start looking for wheelchair. We don't have. Let's see, where are we going to get wheelchair? This, and we start wasting. They will just waste your time. And if you arrive, if you come back from Abuja or anywhere else, they will start looking. They will just leave you in the aircraft. They will just forget about you.
Accessibility of people living with disabilities in Gombe State. So I want to call Governor of Gombe State, Governor Inouye Haya, to establish the all disability law in Gombe State, because people with disability can be relief.
Speaking on the sidelines of a stakeholders' engagement on accessibility of Nigerian airports to persons with disabilities in Gombe, National Chairman of the Spinal Cord Injuries Association of Nigeria urged Gombe State government to attend to the accessibility requirements for their members through domestication of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018.
The little challenge we have at the airport is the distance between the aircraft and the arrival hall, departure hall, and everybody's feeling that, even people who have no disability. So you need to commend the government for doing the airport, but we know that there's in everything that human beings do, we need to improve every day. So hopefully, with the improvement that we recommended, like having a bus to take people from the aircraft to the terminal buildings, is very, very important. If they can do that, everybody will benefit.
Meanwhile, Gombe State government vowed to rectify the issues of accessibility at the Gombe airport raised by the PWDs.
We were enlightened about the law and the right of people living with disabilities, and by the grace of God, we will try our best as ministry so that we protect their right, more especially the issues they raise in the airport, I will report to my boss, and I'm very sure we're going to take necessary steps.
According to the Center for Citizens with Disabilities, CDD, there have been numerous accounts of denial of air travel rights as well as humiliating treatment of persons with disabilities in the country. About 16 states are yet to domesticate the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Act 2018. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
And in business news, the National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's headline inflation has increased to 22.04% in March 2023. The new figure brings the country's rise in food and services closer to an 18-year high. According to the NBS, the headline inflation rate of 22.04% is 0.13 percentage points higher when compared to February 2023 headline inflation rate. But when compared to the same period last year, it notes that the figure was 6.13 percentage points higher. It said that contributions of items on the divisional level to the increase in the headline index are food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuel, clothing and footwear, transport, household equipment and maintenance, among others. Now, heavy gunfire and blasts were reported in Khartoum on Saturday following days of tension between the Sudanese armed forces and paramilitary rapid support forces. Sudan's paramilitaries later said that they were in control of several key sites following fighting with the regular army on Saturday, including the presidential palace in central Khartoum. In a statement, the rapid support forces said it had taken full control of the presidential palace as well as the airports in Khartoum and Merowe in the north of the country. It said that the moves came in response to attacks by the regular army on RSF bases in South Khartoum. And that's it for the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.